It was supposed to be a quiet winter afternoon in southern Quebec, the kind of day where the world felt muted under fresh snow, and every breath burned slightly from the cold. Ember, a 16-year-old girl with a hearing disability, was used to silence, or at least her version of it. Life had taught her to navigate a world filled with sounds she sometimes missed, voices she couldn't always recognize, and moments where she had to rely on instinct instead of hearing. The holidays had just ended, and she was finally settling back into her routine. Her neighborhood bordered a dense forest, a place she had grown up feeling comfortable in. She loved walking there, especially with Monty, her Rottweiler Husky mix who lived for winter. That afternoon, she grabbed her coat, clipped Monty's leash, and stepped outside. The cold hit her face like needles. Monty pulled forward excitedly as they headed toward the trail entrance, practically dragging her the last few feet. Once inside the forest, she unclipped his leash. He sprinted ahead, kicking up snow in chaotic bursts. The trail was almost untouched. A few dog tracks here and there, but nothing fresh. About 30 minutes in, Ember reached a fork in the trail. To her surprise, one path looked pristine, no footprints at all. Feeling bold, she followed it. The untouched snow muffled everything, creating that illusion of being alone in a world that had forgotten sound. Eventually, the trail opened into a clearing. She pulled out her new binoculars, scanning tree lines for birds. But instead of a bird, she caught sight of something else, a blue tarp, stretched between trees, like a makeshift shelter someone had built long ago. A chill crawled up her back. She stared at it for a few seconds, unsure if she should go closer. The sun was sinking fast and the temperature was dropping. She decided to turn back. Monty ran ahead as usual, but he wasn't behaving normally. His ears were up, his posture stiff. He kept sniffing the path intensely, like he was following a trail she couldn't see. That's when Ember noticed the footprints. Large, deep, fresh. Not hers. Her stomach tightened. There was no other path, no shortcut, no way someone could have passed without her seeing them. Unless it happened while she was looking through the binoculars. She tried to shake it off. Maybe it was just another hiker. Maybe she was overthinking. But the footprints weren't the only thing bothering her. The woods had changed, the air felt colder, the trees darker. And then Monty froze. His fur bristled. He stared past Ember, growling low. She turned slowly and saw a man standing only a meter away. Tall, at least 64. Snow pants, white camo jacket, hands in pockets. His breath fogged in the air, but otherwise he was completely still, almost unnaturally still. His lips moved, but Ember couldn't make out the words. Not with the lighting, not with her hearing. She tried telling him she was hard of hearing, raising her hands in a helpless gesture. The stranger tilted his head just slightly, then smiled. Not friendly, not natural, just wrong. Monty barked wildly, lunging forward until Ember grabbed his collar and pulled him back. The man didn't react at all. He simply stood there, watching her. Ember forced herself to walk away. She kept Monty close, her heart pounding like a drum inside her chest. She didn't run. Running would feel like admitting fear, but every step home felt heavier than the last. She reached her house at 4:30, shaken but safe. For the rest of the night, she tried convincing herself it was just a weird encounter. Maybe he was a hunter. Maybe he was lost. Maybe she misread everything. But at 3:00 a.m., Monty woke her. Not with his usual soft nudges. He was frantic, barking hysterically. The kind of bark he only made when something was very, very wrong. Ember sat up fast, tapped her phone. 3:00 a.m. She noticed a message from her neighbor asking if everything was okay because Monty had been barking, like he was possessed. Monty wasn't in her room anymore. She rushed downstairs, following the sound of his growls. He was at the patio door, body stiff, tail rigid, barking at the darkness outside. Ember squinted through the window. her vision still blurry from sleep. The motion light flicked on. And there he was. The same man from the forest, standing in her backyard, facing her, still wearing that white camo jacket blending into the snow behind him. She didn't think, she just acted. She backed away from the door and texted 911 as fast as her fingers could move. Her hands were shaking so violently she kept misspelling words. She grabbed her machete from under her bed, ran upstairs, closed her door and pressed her back against the wall. Monty paced wildly, snarling at the door. Then he stopped. His ears twitched, his eyes fixed on the bottom of the door. A shadow shifted underneath it. Footsteps slow, heavy. The stranger was in the hallway. Ember covered her mouth, trying not to breathe too loudly. Her chest tightened. Her heart hammered so hard it hurt. Monty growled deep in his throat. The shadow lingered, moved slightly, stopped again. She braced herself, gripping the machete so hard her hands went numb. But the doorknob never turned. The door never opened. When the police arrived minutes later, the stranger had vanished. The patio door was smashed inward. The gate leading back to the forest was left wide open. But there were no footprints leaving the yard except Monty's. Not the stranger's. Like he had simply disappeared. Ember told them about the shelter she'd seen. Officers searched the woods the next day. They found remnants of a tarp and signs someone had been living there. Someone big, someone who moved quietly. Too quietly. To this day, Ember avoids the forest completely. She sticks to roads, always keeps Monty leashed and never, ever goes out alone after dark. She still thinks about the stranger, about his smile, about the way he muttered words she never heard, and about why he came back. Because the footprints that night, the ones leading away from her broken patio door, weren't his. They belonged to Monty. The stranger left none. Not a single one. As if he never touched the ground at all. Ember wasn't the only teenager who found herself caught in something horrifying that winter. Hundreds of miles away, in Illinois, another story unfolded. One that would leave an entire family terrified long after the police closed the case. It began on a harmless December afternoon. Kate and her older sister, Ember, 15 and 16, were planning a simple day out. Their dad worked for a deforestation group a half hour from home, and the girls were excited to finally get out of the house and watch a horror movie that was way above their age limit. But nobody questioned them. They both looked older, confident, and eager to escape the winter boredom. They slipped into the theater without trouble, settled into their seats, and let the world fade away as the movie began. Halfway through, in a perfectly silent moment, Ember's phone buzzed loudly. Heads turned, people groaned, the mood shattered. Embarrassed, the girls ducked out of the theater. Ember checked her phone. It was a text from Dad. "Hey, could you bring me lunch? The small cafe by the woods is closed today." It seemed normal, unusual maybe, but not suspicious. They'd helped him at work before. Kate shrugged. He probably forgot to pack something. They drove home, prepared some food, and headed toward the woods where he worked. The area was familiar to them, secluded, quiet, and scenic. A long descent down a hill led to a lake surrounded by trees. It was peaceful, especially with the sun sinking behind the hills and scattering orange light over everything. Ember called their dad. No answer. She frowned. Kate frowned too. That was weird. They texted him instead. Immediately, 3 dots appeared typing. A message came through. "Walk down the hill and wait for me by the lake." The girls followed the path. Their boots crunched softly in the snow. The orange sky reflected over the frozen surface of the lake, flickering like embers. At first, everything seemed normal. Then Kate pointed. Someone sat at the lake's wooden deck, their back turned, wearing a black jacket with a hood pulled over their head. "That must be Dad," Kate said. They approached slowly. Ember called out his name. He didn't move. A strange tension settled between the sisters. Something felt off. Something felt wrong. The man's posture was stiff, unnatural. Ember reached forward and gently pulled the hood back. It wasn't their father. The man wasn't even close. His face twisted into a bizarre smile, an expression so wide and unnatural that both girls instinctively stepped back. He lifted his hand and waved their dad's phone around like a toy, laughing silently through his teeth. Ember's voice cracked as she shouted, "Why do you have our dad's phone?" No answer. Instead, he lunged. Kate screamed as his hand clamped around her wrist, fingers like iron. Ember grabbed her sister and yanked with everything she had. Somehow, adrenaline gave her strength she'd never felt before. They tore free. They ran. Branches slapped their faces, snow kicked up around them, breath scorched their lungs. Behind them, loud stomps thundered across the wooden deck. The man was chasing them, closing the distance fast. The girls didn't look back, didn't dare. They reached the car. Ember fumbled the keys, shrieking when Kate screamed for her to hurry. The moment the door slammed shut, the man appeared at the window, smiling. Then he crouched. He crouched low, disappearing under their window view, just as Ember reversed and sped away. They flew home without stopping. Their parents were already there, startled when the girls burst inside screaming. Ember tried explaining through tears. Kate could barely breathe. Their father, pale and furious, revealed something that made the girls go silent. His phone had been stolen earlier that day. He hadn't sent those texts. He wasn't at the lake. He never asked for lunch. Someone had lured them there. The police tracked the phone using its IMEI number and located it, still lying on the deck next to the lake where the man had been sitting. But the man was gone. No footprints leading away. No tracks. Nothing. Police said they couldn't do much. Everyone assumed the nightmare was over. It was. Not even close. Hours later, around 1:00 a.m., Ember's phone buzzed again. Unknown number. One single, horrifying message. "I like that your house is lit only by your bedroom TV." Her blood ran cold. She froze. The TV light flickered across her room. She paused it immediately. And then, she heard something. Rustling. Outside her window. Second floor. Her heart dropped into her stomach. Ember slowly crept to the blinds and peeled them open a sliver. He was there. The man. Grinning. Holding a gun pointed at her head. Before she could scream, the window shattered inward. Glass sprayed across her room. Ember dropped to the floor, screaming for her parents. Kate ran in. Their mother, their father. Chaos erupted. Their dad peeked outside, nothing. The man had vanished as quickly as he appeared. Then came another explosion of glass, this time from downstairs. They fled into the upstairs bedroom, barricading the door. Kate dialed 911 with trembling fingers while their mother held both girls, whispering frantic prayers. Footsteps creaked on the stairs. Slow, measured, predatory. Ember's skin crawled. She whispered about the one thing that didn't make sense. How did he know where we live? She wouldn't get an answer until the police arrived minutes later. Officers searched the house top to bottom. No intruder, no forced entry besides broken glass. But outside, one officer noticed something unusual on Ember's car tire. A small air tag. He had tagged their car. He had been tracking them ever since the sisters escaped the woods. That's why he crouched when they drove off. he was attaching the tracker. Police started patrolling the neighborhood nightly, but they never found the man. For months, Ember and Kate barely slept. Every creak, every noise, every shadow outside the window sent anxiety surging through them all over again. Eventually, life moved on, at least on the surface. But the sisters never forgot the way the man smiled. The way he moved. The way he always knew where they were. Police never identified him. No suspects. No arrests. Just a name in the report. Unknown male. Height 63 to 65. Extreme stealth. Threat level severe. And even now, Kate swears that some nights, when the wind is quiet and the house is still, she hears footsteps on the deck by the lake. In her dreams. Except sometimes. She wakes up, and the footsteps don't stop. The night was unnaturally quiet when Daniel took the long road home, a narrow stretch of highway surrounded by thick forest on both sides. Fog clung low to the asphalt, and the moon looked smudged behind clouds. He had been driving for hours, and the only sounds were his engine and the rhythmic thumps of uneven pavement. It was sometime after 1 a.m. when the sky suddenly lit with a blinding white flash. Daniel barely had time to react. Something huge, something fast shot across the road in front of him. He jerked the wheel, the car skidded, tires screaming, and for a moment the world flipped sideways. Metal twisted, glass exploded, and the darkness swallowed everything. When Daniel opened his eyes, he was upside down in the wreck. Blood dripped from his forehead. His vision swam. The forest outside flickered in and out through broken windows. But the strangest part was the sound. Something was breathing. Not him. Not human. Slow, deep, wet inhalations coming from somewhere nearby. Daniel tried to move, but every muscle screamed. He forced his seatbelt loose and crawled out through the shattered windshield, dragging himself onto the cold asphalt. His ears rang until they didn't. A different sound replaced the ringing. Footsteps. Slow, heavy, deliberate. At first, Daniel thought the thing walking toward the crushed car was a deer, but then it stood upright. Too tall. Too thin. Limbs bent wrong, like they had learned how to imitate humans but never perfected it. It turned its head toward him. Bones cracked. Joints clicked. Skin stretched like wet paper. And then it smiled, a long, tearing smile that split its face wider than any jaw should open. Daniel scrambled backward, dragging his injured leg. The figure mirrored him, taking long backward steps without turning around, as if its joints could rotate freely without a spine to limit movement. Then it spoke, in Daniel's voice, but wrong, like someone learning the sounds of language by studying the echo of a cave. "Help me, Daniel." He froze. It shouldn't know his name. It shouldn't know his voice. It shouldn't be alive after getting hit at full speed. The creature leaned down, face hanging inches from his, its pupils expanding like black ink bleeding across paper. "You hit me, so now I ride with you." Daniel tried to scream, but its hand wrapped around his mouth, thin fingers but impossibly strong. It dragged him toward the wreck, toward the crushed car, toward the darkness underneath the twisted metal. There were more eyes in the shadows. Dozens. Blinking. Waiting. And Daniel understood. Whatever he hit wasn't an animal. It wasn't a person. It was something that didn't die, it multiplied. The last thing he felt was those fingers pulling him beneath the wreck, and the sound of the thing practicing his voice again. "Help me, Daniel." Except this time, it sounded perfect.